Shalom again, everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at www.KosherTorah.com. Bringing to you today's lesson in the Sefer Yetzirah. This is now lesson 92. Countdown towards the end. Only going to be a few more now. We are covering the 6th chapter, what's going to be the 7th Mishnah. And of course, we dedicate these classes to the health, safety, well-being, prosperity, protection of everybody around the world with the prayer and the plea. Yeah, we're pleading to you. What? Use this stuff, guys. Put stuff to work to make a difference. And in this class, we're going to have to tell you why. Now, let me share with you an interesting discussion that I had this last week with one of my top students. I never identify individuals, male or female, or anything of the kind, other than to say, people close to, people I've worked with, people who are very, very high levels of, accomplishment and experience and the like. And one of my students approached me and said, okay, Rabbi, I want to learn this specific thing, which is really one of the deepest levels of practice within the Merkava. And then I said to this individual, are you ready to experience it? The person paused. And I said, I could teach you what the books say. I could easily do that. From a scholarly point of view, you want to learn what the books say? You want to learn like a ritual, how to do a ritual? Easy to teach you. A, B, C, D, very mechanical. You want to learn the names of angels and holy names? Very easy. It's learning to rote. By rote to recite. A, B, C, D. This name, that name. This vowels, this chant. Fine. You got it all down. Now what? What are you going to do with it? I gave the example like this. Say, for example, all right, you want to go and learn how to shoot a gun. Okay, fine, great. You can take a gun safety course and you could learn all about any kind of gun, handgun, rifles, automatic rifles, whatever you want. You could learn how they're manufactured, how they're put together, how they operate, what's the technology behind them. And you could learn all this stuff, watch every video ever made. You can read every book ever written. You can get your, in quote, PhD on guns. Mazel tov, as we say. Does that mean you are now ready or able to actually shoot the firearm that you have learned all this time? Big difference between theory and practice. And when it comes to our Sefer Yetzirah, this is the example that I give you. Because what we have here, and let's be honest, is a spiritual firearm. Now remember what a firearm is. In spite of all the controversy in current events and all the like, firearms can be used for good or evil, just like everything else that we've learned in our Sefer Yetzirah. In the hands of those who use them responsibly for proper, decent, good behavior. People, for example, military and law enforcement, who we do support. That is the right and appropriate ways and means to do things. However, in the hands of those who could use these things harmfully, to hurt, to steal, to use them in ways and means which are inappropriate and wrong. Then, as they say, the right tool in the wrong hands causes that right tool to work in the wrong way. And that's what we're left with. Sefer Yetzirah is a spiritual technology. Consider it, if you will, a spiritual firearm. It's not going to shoot anybody, but it does give you, when you use it properly, a power. It will, if and when used properly, put you in touch with, in contact with those forces, powers that we've spoken of in our previous lessons. Now, if you remember, those forces out there in the greater universe around us are both what we call good and evil. Remember that good old tree of knowledge? Good and evil? Learn a very, very important lesson. There's only one way that you will ever be able to address issues of good and evil. And that is when you can first tell the difference between what is right from what is wrong. Right and wrong are defined and decided by the tree of life. Good and evil are defined by knowledge, a lower level. Because there are actions and there are behaviors which in and of themselves might be good or evil, whereas at the same time they might be either right or wrong. An example, let's use our firearm again as our example. If God forbid, let me take a step back. Let's say, for example, you are a member of law enforcement and or the military, in which you have to go out and safeguard and defend your community or your country. You will use then a firearm against an enemy who is out to kill you. Under such circumstances, what or how do we define the morality? Now, you might say, well, I'm against and opposed to any violence at all. You know what? I agree with that. That's cool. That's all cool and good. But in the reality of our world, your proclamations of pacifism, which I do respect and all due I share myself, doesn't make the reality go away. Right? As powerful as you and I together might be, we can't make the problems in the world go away. So we have to address them. So the soldier out there, the law enforcement individual out there, it's got a job to do. And they will, under certain circumstances, use their firearm, which may be right or wrong under the circumstances as modern current events has shown us. Okay? But what does that say about the use of firearms? Dramatic pause for you to say, well, yeah, and there's a right and a wrong. Someone breaks into your house with the intent to cause you or your family members harm, and you have a firearm. Now, we've seen this in many cases too. And you respond with appropriate self-defense to safeguard your family. Now, we've learned of many a time people have broken into homes and have done horrible, evil crimes. All right? If they had a firearm, it's still evil and wrong and bad to have to kill somebody. I am never going to say, yeah, go ahead and kill, it's good. No, it's never good to kill. Thou shalt not kill. Actually, thou shalt not murder, but beside the point. But as evil as it might be, sometimes it's the right thing to do. So you see, right and wrong and good and evil sometimes are really confusing. And that is where we are at as those who partake of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, good and evil. So as we practice our meditative experiences, we want to go to those higher realms. And you are now going to come in contact with as we've learned in the previous lesson, the forces of the Sitra Ahra, or the Ofanim, or the Hayot, or the Seraphim. Is your, in quote, spiritual vision clear enough to be able to distinguish and determine the difference between one and the other? Can you really know and make what we call in Hebrew the Havdalah, the sacred division between the sacred and the profane? Well, this is a vital and an important concern before you're going to put things into practice. Whatever your personal views are with regards to the examples I've just given, that's fine. Remember, I'm giving examples. We're here to talk spirituality, Sefer Yetzirah, Kabbalah, meditation, and the like. We're not here to discuss politics and current events, so please don't confuse the two. Okay? We're going to take the negative and turn it into the positive, because that's what we do here at KosherTorah School. Mishnah 7 speaks of something very curious. We've now gone out of the angelic realm. We've gone out of the Sitra Ahra into this physical realm. And our physical realm is now subject to the influences of both the Sitra Ahra and the angelic, which essentially creates for us conflict. What is the purpose of conflict? This physical world of ours we call Sefer Malkhut. We know it's the bottom of this Sephirotic plane. It's the receptacle. It's the end result. It's the purpose. Why did God create the universe, as we say? Well, we say is to be called by his names, but ultimately, if you look at the tree of the Sefirot, begins at Keter and ends at Malkhut, and they flip, and they're technically one and the same. So what is this Malkhut of ours, this physical world? What do we need it for? In the Eastern religions, our brothers and sisters over there, they seek to get the heck out of this world. This world is corrupt. This world is crazy. It's all Maya, illusion. And they're correct in that. And let's just dispel with it and ascend in Nirvana to the heavenly planes and kiss this physical world goodbye. Our Torah path is the exact opposite of that. We don't seek to cut Malkhut off. We seek to integrate it with the whole. Now, what does that mean? Look at the realities of our lives. We are at war. No, we're not at war socially, culturally, because of this conflict of culture or religion or politics or theology or philosophy. All of those external conflicts are only external expressions of the internal conflict going on within each of us individually. Right? That's really what it's all about. Solve the inner conflict and all external conflicts will be resolved. Gee, what do you know? My opinion, that's the greatest victory of them all. Sefer Yetzirah Mishnah 7 says something very weird. And the nature of the text itself is not really one that I'm going to elaborate on. And I'm going to tell you why that in a minute. But let me read it first. It says here 7. And we know the 7. We just spoke about the 3 in our previous class and the balance. But now it says the 7. The Beged Kapart, if you will remember. 3 opposite 3. There is 1 in the middle, the balance. You have the 12. And the 12 stand at war. Why are they at war? Because we have not yet achieved the unity of integration here in Malkhut that the higher powers have the ability to accomplish. I already gave you your answer. There are 3 that love, 3 that hate, 3 that bring life, 3 that bring death. Our version of the text describes them like this. The 3 that bring life, the 3 that love is the heart and the ears. The 3 that hate is the liver, the bile, and the tongue. The 3 that bring life are the 2 nostrils and the spleen. And the 3 that bring death are the 2 openings, orifices, which is curious, and the mouth. And there is one faithful king who rules over them all from his place, which is holy Adei Ad Ad, which we've talked about before. Now, all of these hates and loves and the like, this is not the original version of the text to associate all the loves and the hates. I was thinking of putting together a chart to show them all, but I read Rabbi Moshe Cordovero's commentary to this, and he says, "Eneni choshev shehiyeh lashon hasefer." All right, he says, I don't think that this is really the correct version of the text. He says he thinks it's a later commentary that got added into the text, and I tend to agree with him. Simply because there are references here. If you remember, we said all the loves and the hates. We never mentioned the eyes. And all of a sudden we have the 2 nekavim. The nekavim are actually your orifices through which you pee and poop. Let's be blunt. We never mentioned them in corresponding stuff. How is it that it's all here right now? Okay, like I said, that's not the issue. To make the correlations right now is not what's important. This is not an academic class. This is a meditative class. And I told you, what are all the proper correlations? When you meditate, you'll figure it out for yourselves. But you must understand the underlying concept. Love, hate, peace, war. They exist. All the meditations in the world are not going to make them go away. Because the war doesn't exist in the higher plane. Unlike mythology or midrash, you don't have the realm of the Sitra Ahra on one side, which is down here, in a constant state of war with the Malachim, with the Malachim up here. They're not fighting each other all the time. Individual Malachim, they fight all the time. They're like bucking rams, as the Hesed Abraham describes. Look at my disclosure essays. I give you teachings about that there. It's on the front page, KosherTorah.com. As a present, they are free. Hopefully, I'm going to put them in a book sometime soon. But anyway, the point is, you don't have a war in the higher domain simply because those higher entities all have a purpose. And that purpose is to properly get Malkhut into proper alignment with the Sephiratic tree. So that's why there is, in this level right now, war, conflict, love, hate. The forces of the balance are in constant movement. It's kind of like what we see in society today. So rather than to try to take one side or the other side and tear apart, we try to create union. To fulfill the words of what we call the Kaddish prayer, Oseh Shalom b'yamaromav hu barachamav yaseh shalom aleinu. May he who makes peace in his high heavens and grace make peace upon us. You see, peace, shalom, there's that shin, right? That mem. And in the middle you have the lamed and the vav, which if you twist them all around can actually be made into a shape of an aleph, according to modern Hebrew, but just little hints of things. Understand the nature of the real war that we are at. The physical world exists so that all of these energetic opposites have the opportunity to interact with one another for the sake of creating balance. Remember, energy is energy. Positive, negative. Positive is not negative. Negative is not positive, in spite of all those down here who want to confuse things. Whatever. And those things which in the energetic world are different from one another are very far away and distant from one another. Where in which we define distance in this world as physical proximity. This is my one hand, this is my other hand. I can bring them close, I can separate them afar. But technically, they're both my hands. They're both the same, right? They're identical or similar. So they can be far, they can be close, but they're still one. But in the realm of ideas and concepts of good and evil and right and wrong, in those realms, they could be as far apart. But in this world, this physical world, where in which they can take, the energies can take the forms through the letters and therefore create vessels, where in which the vessels can interact, creating the opportunity for the energies to interact, and therefore find the harmony point of balance. And that is why Malkhut, this physical world, exists. So that opposites have the opportunity and the potential to come together, overcome war, overcome hate, and find balance and peace. You notice here we had the four things: love, hate, war, and then what? Peace. Shalom. The completion of all. That is what this is all about. So, when we are dealing with the Sefer Yetzirah, I'm not going to talk about current events and address issues like that, as a lot of people want me to do. Let the other political rabble-rousers out there do that. No. I'm going to tell you to make peace inside yourselves. Look at the ideas and the beliefs of yourself and the other party. Analyze them. Flip them. Turn them. Remember, we learned how to do this in Sefer Yetzirah? You will see that there's good and evil, right and wrong on all sides. So rather than take a side, seek to create shalom between sides. And if you can accomplish this in this physical world, you are accomplishing step one of what the Sefer Yetzirah is all about. And then as you go into deeper states of meditation, you will experience the higher domains and bring that attitude of shalom and balance as you ascend up. And that is the secret of ascent up, the center column. Accomplish this, and you'll understand the Sefer Yetzirah correctly. And more than that, you'll put it into practice in the proper way. Now go out and Oseh Shalom. Make peace. Check out the courses that I have for you online. I'll see you in our concluding classes, counting down now just to the single ones. Talk to you all soon. Shalom.